Welcome to Monk's Temple. As the day's final light surrenders to the gentle authority of twilight, a profound and ancient opportunity awakens. Not outside of you, but within the very architecture of your being. The world quiets, and in this sacred pause, a deeper intelligence stirs. For over 2 millennia, Buddhist teachings have illuminated a simple, transformative truth. The hours of sleep are not a blank void, but a fertile ground for healing, a silent sanctuary where the body and mind engage in their most sacred work. Tonight, we journey not to a distant temple, but into the one you inhabit, your own form, to explore how you can become a conscious participant in this nightly renaissance. Let me begin with a personal memory, from a time before I understood this. I was traveling through the mist-shrouded hills of a remote region, burdened by a persistent fatigue that no amount of sleep seemed to touch. My mind was a knotted tangle of plans and regrets. In a small village, I met an elderly woman who tended a terraced garden on a steep hillside. She moved with a slow, deliberate grace. I complained of my tiredness, my restless nights. She listened, her eyes like calm pools, then pointed to her garden. "See these terraces," she said. "When the heavy rains come, the water would wash everything away if the land were flat and steep. But these walls," she gestured to the stone embankments, "they create pockets of stillness. The water pauses. It soaks in deep, right to the roots, instead of just racing past. Your night is your terrace wall. Your thoughts are the rushing rain. You must build a wall of stillness so the healing can soak in, not run off." That image changed everything for me. Sleep wasn't about duration alone. It was about the quality of stillness I built before entering it. This is the heart of the Buddhist approach to healing. The Buddha taught that the mind and body are not separate agents, but a deeply interconnected field. A troubled mind creates a chemistry of turmoil in the body. A peaceful mind creates a chemistry of repair. The time of sleep is when this inner pharmacy is most actively dispensing its medicine, provided the signal for peace has been given. It's a profound partnership. You are not a passive patient waiting for cure, you are the director of your inner environment, setting the stage for the body's innate, intelligent healing systems to perform their symphony. I'd like to share an original story with you now, about a carpenter named Leo. Leo's hands were his life, but an accident left him with nerve damage, a constant pins and needles numbness that stole the fine sensitivity needed for his craft. He grew resentful of his own body, seeing it as a betrayer. His nights were filled with frustration, and he would often wake up clenching his hands into fists. A friend, who had studied ancient wisdom traditions, visited him. He didn't offer advice. Instead, he asked Leo to bring out his finest, smoothest piece of sandpaper. "Tonight," the friend said, "before you sleep, I want you to just hold this. Feel its texture. Then, imagine that the numbness in your hands isn't an enemy, but simply a rough, unsanded patch of wood. And imagine your sleep. The very darkness and silence, as this sandpaper. Not harsh, but infinitely patient. Your job is not to fight the rough patch, but to trust the sanding." Skeptical but desperate, Leo tried it. As he lay in bed holding the sandpaper, he visualized the night as a gentle, persistent smoothing force. He stopped fighting the sensation. He imagined it being worn smooth by the mere passage of the dark hours. He didn't will a cure, he willed a relationship of trust with the process. The change was not in his nerves at first, but in his relationship to them. The clenching stopped. His sleep became deeper. And slowly, over months, a subtle sensation began to return. The healing was not magical, it was the natural consequence of removing the resistance, the mental clenching, that had been obstructing the body's own restorative flow. If this idea, that your trust is the very sandpaper that smooths the path for healing, resonates with you, I warmly invite you to subscribe to Monk's Temple. By joining our community, you choose to deepen this exploration alongside others, and your support allows us to continue sharing these transformative insights into the art of conscious living and healing. The Buddha's wisdom redirects our gaze from external solutions to internal conditions. He taught that much of our suffering comes from upadana, clinging. Clinging to how we think things should be, clinging to our identity as someone who is unwell, clinging to the day's conflicts. Sleep, in its deepest form, is an act of supreme non-clinging. It is the letting go of all identities, all stories. But we often approach our beds clinging fiercely to the very things that prevent restorative surrender. We replay arguments. We rehearse tomorrow's worries. In doing so, we are like a gardener who, after planting seeds, digs them up every hour to check on their progress. We disrupt the necessary darkness. So, let's build a new metaphor. Consider your body as a vast, intricate clockwork of celestial mechanics. Your conscious mind is the bright, observant sun. It illuminates, it drives the day's rhythms. But the sun cannot see the stars. The stars, the fixed points of balance, the subtle blueprints of perfect health, are always there, but they only become visible when the sun sets and the deep velvet of night arrives. Your sleep is that starlit night. The healing processes are those stars, always present, always guiding, but only able to exert their full navigational influence in the profound dark of your surrender. Your worrying mind is like light pollution, it drowns out the subtle starlight of your body's innate intelligence. The evening ritual, then, is the deliberate turning down of the urban lights of your mind, so you can see and be guided by the ancient, healing constellations within. The practice for this is gentle awareness. Tonight, as you lie down, instead of chasing sleep, practice simply watching the desire for it. Feel the weight of your body on the mattress. Listen to the faint, inner sound of silence in your ears. Imagine each thought that arises as a small, bright street lamp in a vast landscape. Acknowledge its light, and then, gently, imagine switching it off. One by one. Not with force, but with a soft, thank you, but not now. You are cultivating the darkness in which the stars appear. This is the Buddhist practice of vipassana, insight, turned inward onto the process of transition itself. You are observing the mind's habit of creating light, and choosing, moment by moment, to allow the nourishing dark. As we settle deeper into this understanding, let me share another story, this one about a woman named Clara. Clara was a teacher, her voice her instrument. After a severe illness, she was left with a chronic, rasping weakness in her throat. Specialists found no physical cause that could explain its persistence. She felt disconnected from her own body, as if it were a faulty machine she was trapped inside. She came across a teaching about the body as an ecosystem, not a machine. That night, as she lay in bed, she tried something different. She placed her hands gently on her throat. Instead of demanding it to be strong, she began to apologize. Silently, she whispered inside, "I'm sorry for seeing you as broken. I'm sorry for the anger." Then, she imagined her throat not as a set of muscles and cords, but as a narrow, rocky canyon where a stream had once flowed freely. Her illness had been a drought. Her frustration was like throwing more rocks into the dry bed. She began to visualize the night as a soft, persistent rain falling into this canyon. She didn't picture the stream returning in a torrent. She simply pictured the rain, soaking into the stone, slowly, slowly. Night after night, this was her only practice, feeling the metaphorical rain of rest and acceptance on the dry landscape of her throat. The change was glacial but profound. The rasp didn't vanish, but the struggle around it did. Her sleep became a sanctuary of acceptance, not a battleground of resistance. And in that sanctuary, her body found its own way toward a new equilibrium. She discovered the Buddhist principle of ahimsa, non-harming, applied first and foremost to her own being. This principle is crucial. So often, we are at war with our own symptoms. We see pain as an enemy to be defeated, fatigue as a weakness to be overcome. This inner conflict creates a state of siege within the body. The immune system, the nervous system, are caught in the crossfire. The Buddha taught that peace is not merely the absence of war, it is a positive, vibrant state of harmony. To heal, we must first declare a ceasefire within ourselves. The moment you lie down and sincerely thank your body for its service, even with its pains, you lower the weapons. You move from a state of siege to a state of sanctuary. And in a sanctuary, repair work can begin. Think of your daily consciousness as a lively, sometimes chaotic, village square. All day, the square is full of chatter, transactions, debates, and drama. This is necessary life. But when evening comes, the square must empty for the cleaners and restockers to do their work. If you, as the mayor of this village, keep the square lit up and full of people all night, holding emergency meetings about the day's problems, the vital work of maintenance cannot happen. The trash piles up. The stalls remain depleted. You wake to a dirty, unprepared village. Your evening practice is the gentle, firm act of closing the square. You thank the villagers, your thoughts, for their day's work, and you send them home. You turn off the glaring market lights. You allow the quiet, efficient night crews, your cellular repair teams, your toxin clearance systems, to have the space they need. This is not neglecting your problems. It is prioritizing the maintenance that allows you to address them effectively tomorrow. To facilitate this closing, we can use the breath as a master key. The Buddha placed immense importance on mindfulness of breathing, anapanasati. The breath is the hinge between the voluntary and the involuntary, between the conscious mind and the autonomic healing body. In the quiet of your bed, begin to observe the breath without changing it. Feel the cool air entering the nostrils, the slight pause, the warm air leaving. Now, introduce a subtle intention. Imagine that with each inhale, you are drawing in a silvery mist of peace directly from the atmosphere of the night itself. And with each exhale, you are releasing a gray smoke of the day's residual tensions, the specific worry about a deadline, the lingering irritation from a conversation, the abstract sense of pressure. You are not breathing heavily. You are breathing significantly. You are using the breath's inherent rhythm as a conveyor belt, importing peace and exporting clutter. Do this for just 11 breaths. The number is not magical, but it gives the mind a simple task that ushers it away from its chaotic storytelling. This practice aligns you with the natural rhythm of release and reception that defines healing. I recall a man named Ben, a retired engineer who suffered from tinnitus, a constant, high-pitched ringing in his ears. The sound was maddening, and it utterly destroyed his sleep. He fought it with white noise machines, earplugs, and growing despair. He described it as a prison. Then, he encountered a different perspective. What if the sound wasn't an enemy to be blocked out, but a signal to be listened to? What if, in the paradox of listening to it voluntarily, he could find freedom from its tyranny? His bedtime practice became an act of profound surrender. He would lie in the dark and, instead of resisting, he would say, "Okay. Let me hear you. Play your note." He would focus all his attention on the ringing, not with hatred, but with the curious attention of an engineer studying a strange frequency. He would try to map its exact pitch, its texture. In doing so, something shifted. He was no longer a victim of the sound, he was an observer of a sensation. The identity of tinnitus sufferer began to dissolve into the larger identity of awareness witnessing a sound. Often, this very shift would allow him to drift into sleep. Some nights, the sound even seemed to transform in his perception, becoming less like a shriek and more like the hum of distant electrical wires, or even, on a few occasions, like the sound of silence itself. He hadn't cured the tinnitus, but he had cured his suffering from it. He had applied the Buddhist insight of dukkha. Suffering arises from craving for things to be other than they are. By releasing the craving for silence, he found a peace that included the sound. This is a powerful secret. Healing is not always the elimination of a symptom. Sometimes, it is the expansion of your being to such a degree that the symptom no longer defines your experience. It becomes a mere footnote in the vast text of your aliveness. The night provides the canvas for this expansion. In the dark, without visual distractions, you can practice being larger than your local sensations. Now, let's weave in another original metaphor. Consider your mind and body as a stringed instrument, like a cello. Throughout the day, the strings are played, plucked, bowed, stretched, to create the music of your life. This playing naturally leaves the strings slightly out of tune, the wood stressed from vibration. Sleep is not when the cello is put back in its case. That would be unconsciousness. True, healing sleep is when the instrument is left in the hands of a master luthier in a quiet, climate-controlled workshop. The luthier, your parasympathetic nervous system, gently loosens the pegs, relaxes the strings, oils the wood, and allows the entire instrument to return to its natural state of restful tension, its original, perfect pitch. Your worrying mind before sleep is like an amateur trying to tune the instrument in the middle of a noisy concert hall, turning pegs frantically and making the discord worse. Your evening ritual is the act of respectfully handing the instrument over to the master and leaving the workshop. You trust the luthier. You allow the silence and the expertise to do the work. Now we turn to the mysterious realm of dreams, a realm the Buddha understood as a bridge, a language, a field of profound digestion and insight. In the quiet laboratory of sleep, your conscious, logical mind, the daytime manager, steps aside. In its place, a more ancient, symbolic intelligence takes the floor. This intelligence speaks in the mother tongue of your psyche, through images, sensations, and stories that often defy daytime logic. To dismiss dreams as meaningless randomness is to ignore a nightly council held for your own healing and understanding. Buddhist psychology does not see dreams as mere illusions to be transcended, but as valuable reflections of the mind's landscape. They are the echoes of your heart in the cathedral of night. A distressing dream, a nightmare, is not a punishment. It is often the psyche's courageous attempt to bring a buried fragment of fear, a shard of unresolved grief, up from the depths and into the open air of your awareness so it can finally be released. It is a purging, a fever burning out a toxin. A peaceful, luminous dream, where you might fly, meet a guide, or see radiant light, is a direct transmission of healing. It is your inner being gifting you an experience of wholeness, a blueprint of peace imprinted directly onto your nervous system. I knew a dancer named Anya, whose career was ended by a knee injury. She was consumed by grief for her lost art. Her dreams were constantly of being on stage, but her legs would be frozen, or the music would be silent. These dreams left her waking in tears. A mentor suggested she change her relationship to the dreams. Instead of running from the stage in the dream, he said, "Tonight, try to change one small thing. If your legs are frozen, just look at the audience. See one friendly face." That night, in the dream, her legs were again heavy as stone. Remembering the advice, she forced her gaze to the dark theater. And there, in the front row, she saw her younger self, aged 10, beaming with joy and clapping wildly. She woke not with tears, but with a strange warmth in her chest. The dreams shifted over time. They were no longer about paralysis on stage, but about teaching that joyful younger self simple movements off stage. Her dreams became a space where she could reform her identity from injured dancer to wise teacher, long before her waking mind could accept it. This was her psyche, in its own time and its own language, healing the fracture in her soul. It was practicing pratishyamutpada, dependent origination, showing her that her present suffering was dependent on her clinging to a past identity, and offering a new, dependent relationship to build upon. You can invite this healing counsel. As you drift to sleep, you might gently set an intention: may my dreams offer me what I need for healing and understanding. Release all expectation of what that should look like. You are simply opening the door. The intelligence within will decide the appropriate delivery. Some nights it may be a cryptic symbol. Other nights, a wave of pure feeling. Trust that whatever comes is part of the medicine, even if you don't understand its label. Now, let's integrate this into a more detailed nightly ritual, a sadhana of surrender. We've spoken of closing the village square and handing the instrument to the luthier. Let's give this process form. First, the purification of space. About 30 minutes before you intend to sleep, begin your descent. This is your personal twilight. Lower the lights in your room. If possible, light a single candle for a few moments, watching its steady flame, a beacon of calm in the growing dark. Straighten your bed sheets, not as a chore, but as an act of preparing an altar. In Buddhism, there is a deep connection between external order and internal peace. A cluttered space can reflect and amplify a cluttered mind. This simple tidying is a physical mantra, whispering to your nervous system, order is being restored. Second, the gratitude infusion. Sit on the edge of your bed. Place one hand over your heart. For just 2 minutes, let your mind become a gentle searchlight, scanning the day for moments of simple grace. The steam from your evening tea. The color of the sky at dusk. A sentence in a book that resonated. A moment of effort you made. Do not judge the size of these things. Feel the tactile sensation of gratitude for each one, a soft, expanding warmth in the chest. This practice, known in the Buddhist teachings as mudita, sympathetic joy, but here turned inward as appreciation, does something remarkable. It shifts your brain's filtering system. It tells your organism that the day was not solely defined by its struggles, but was also woven through with threads of sufficiency and connection. This is the biochemical opposite of anxiety. Third, the breath as bridge. Lie down. Return to the 11 breaths. This time, with a specific visualization. Imagine your spine as the trunk of a great, ancient tree. With each inhale of that silvery mist, see it traveling up from the earth, through the roots at the base of your spine, up through the trunk, and branching out into every limb, twig, and leaf, which are your arms, legs, fingers, toes, and the neural branches of your brain. With each exhale of gray smoke, see it as old, dry leaves detaching and falling gently to the earth to compost. You are the tree. The day's experiences are the leaves. Some are green and vibrant, the joys, some are dry and brittle, the stresses. All are released. The tree does not cling to its leaves. It lets them fall, knowing this is part of its cycle, part of what nourishes the ground for future growth. Fourth, the body communion. Perform a slow, mental scan from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. At each area, forehead, eyes, jaw, shoulders, chest, belly, hips, thighs, calves, feet, pause and inwardly whisper, I feel you. Thank you. Rest now. You are not diagnosing or fixing. You are visiting, like a benevolent monarch touring a peaceful kingdom at night, offering a silent nod of recognition to each domain. This is the practice of Kayanupassana, mindfulness of the body, fostering a relationship of intimate, non-judgmental friendship with your own flesh and bone. Fifth, the mantra of surrender. Finally, as your body feels heavy and your mind quiet, offer up your core intention in a simple phrase. It could be, I entrust myself to the night. Or, healing is allowed. Or simply, yes. Let this phrase be the final stone in the terrace wall, holding back the rushing waters of thought. Then, release even the phrase. Fall into the trust you have just constructed. This ritual is your liturgy. It may take 20 minutes or 5. Its power is in the consistency of love and attention, not in its duration. As we embrace the healing potential of the night, we must now turn our attention to the critical moment of return, the dawn. In the Buddha's teachings, each morning is not a mere continuation, it is a genuine rebirth. The person who wakes up is not the same person who fell asleep. Millions of cells have been renewed, neural pathways have been quietly sorted, and the emotional residue of the previous day has been metabolized. To sleep with healing intention and then to wake up grasping immediately for yesterday's burdens is like a master painter creating a beautiful, fresh canvas only to immediately splash it with old, muddy paint. The morning ritual is how you preserve the masterpiece of your night's work. Think of the night's healing as a delicate, newborn being. It is fresh, soft, and full of potential. Your first thoughts and actions upon waking are its first food. If you feed it anxiety, hurry, and frustration, it grows weak and burdened. If you feed it presence, gratitude, and gentleness, it grows strong and luminous, able to sustain you throughout the day. The Buddha emphasized yaniso manasikara, appropriate attention. What you place your attention on first thing shapes the very quality of your consciousness for hours to come. I want to share a story about a man named Samuel, a gruff fisherman who lived by a wild northern coast. He was a man of few words and much physical pain from a lifetime of hard labor. His mornings were automatic and grim, a groan, a swift rise, a bitter coffee, and out into the cold to mend nets with stiff, aching hands. He saw his body as a tool that was wearing out, a betrayal. One still morning, after a rare peaceful sleep, he found himself awake before dawn. Instead of moving, he lay there, listening to the absolute silence of the world before the gulls awoke. In that silence, he felt a strange sensation, a faint, warm pulse in his sore hands, as if they were whispering to him. On an impulse, he didn't get up. He brought his hands to his chest and just held them there, like injured birds. He didn't pray. He just felt their warmth against his heartbeat. For the first time in decades, he felt a pang of something akin to compassion for his own weathered flesh. That day, he moved more slowly. He didn't curse the stiffness. The net still got mended, but something had shifted. He began this practice each morning, a minute of simply holding his hands, feeling the life in them, before his feet touched the cold floor. He called it, taking stock of the crew. Over time, this minute of communion changed his relationship with his entire day. The pain didn't vanish, but its tyranny did. He had discovered the morning as a time for alliance, not assault. He had, in his own way, stumbled upon the Buddhist practice of metta, loving kindness, directed at the parts of himself he had deemed unworthy. Your morning practice can be just as simple, just as profound. It is the seal on the letter of the night, ensuring its message is delivered into the day. Upon waking, resist the urge to jump up or reach for your phone. Lie still for just 60 seconds. Feel the newness in your lungs as you take your first conscious breath. Acknowledge the miracle, I have returned. I am alive again. This is your rebirth affirmation. The first movement, when you sit up, do it with a slowness that borders on reverence. Feel each vertebra align. Place your feet on the floor and feel the solid support of the earth. Pause here. You can say inwardly, I am grounded. I am supported. This connects you to the stability of the present moment. The first drink a glass of water mindfully. Feel the coolness travel down your throat, imagining it hydrating every cell that worked for you in the night. See it as an offering of thanks to your inner ocean. This is an act of dana, generosity, toward your own body. The first gaze, if you have a window, look outside for a moment. Don't label or judge the weather. Simply take in the light, any light. The grim gray, the bright blue, the soft pink of dawn. Receive it as a gift to your eyes, which have been repaired and cleansed in the night. This is practicing vipassana on the sensory reality of the now. This sacred start is not about adding more to your to-do list. It is about subtracting the automatic, frantic quality of the morning rush. It is about becoming the guardian of the peace cultivated in the night. By doing so, you create a virtuous cycle. A healing night leads to a peaceful morning, which sets the tone for a more balanced day, which then allows you to approach the next night with less clutter and more readiness for deep rest. The circle of healing becomes self-reinforcing. Now, let's introduce another original metaphor for the sleep cycle itself. Imagine your consciousness as a magnificent diving bell. By day, this bell is raised to the surface, where it interacts with the air world, the world of forms, tasks, and language. It collects samples, experiences the weather, and engages with other diving bells. This is necessary and good. But the diving bell cannot stay at the surface forever. Its integrity depends on regular descents into the deep, dark, silent ocean depths. The night is that descent. In the profound blackness of the deep ocean, pressures equalize. Barnacles and residue from the surface world are gently scraped away by the mysterious currents of the deep. The bell structure is inspected and reinforced by the innate intelligence of the sea itself. It is repressurized, cleaned, and made ready for another day of surface exploration. If you refuse to lower the bell, if you keep it bouncing on the stormy surface all night with stimulants and worry, it will become brittle, fouled, and leaky. Your evening ritual is the winch mechanism that gently, surely, lowers you into those healing depths. Your morning practice is the smooth, steady winch that brings you back to the surface, refreshed and intact. This metaphor honors the necessity of both states, the engaged surface and the restorative depths. One is not better than the other, they are a complete cycle. Buddhist wisdom is holistic, it never condemns the day or the worldly life. It simply instructs on how to move between the realms with wisdom, so one nourishes the other. We've prepared the sanctuary of night and honored the rebirth of morning. Now, we must address the very fuel of our sleeplessness, the specific, sticky emotions we carry to bed. The Buddha taught that the mind is the forerunner of all things. The emotions of fear, anger, regret, and anxiety are not just abstract feelings, they are biochemical events, electric storms in the nervous system that directly signal the body to brace, defend, and contract. The exact opposite of the open, receptive state required for deep healing. To sleep as a healing ritual, we must learn the alchemy of transforming these heavy energies, not by fighting them, but by relating to them with wisdom. Think of a difficult emotion as a block of dark, dense wood. Your habitual reaction might be to try and push it away, to ignore it, or to let it sit on your chest, weighing you down. Both approaches keep you engaged in a struggle that rages into the night. The alchemical approach is different. You acknowledge the block of wood. You even touch it with curiosity. Then, you do something radical, you place it in the hearth of your heart, and you allow the gentle, steady breath of awareness to become the flame beneath it. You are not burning it in aggression. You are offering it to be transformed. The dark wood of anger can, in this sacred inner hearth, be transmuted into the warm light of protective clarity. The dense log of fear can become the glowing ember of prudent awareness. This is not metaphor alone, it is a psychological process of validation and release that changes your body's chemistry from one of stress to one of processing. I knew a woman named Alara, a community mediator who absorbed the conflicts of others all day. By night, she was haunted by a free-floating, nameless anxiety, a tightness in her stomach that felt like a clenched fist. She tried meditation to empty her mind, but the fist remained. Then, she shifted her practice. Instead of trying to achieve emptiness, she would sit before bed and deliberately invite the anxiety forward. "Okay," she would say inwardly, "show me your shape. What color are you?" In her mind's eye, the tightness became a small, hard, black river stone. She would mentally hold it. "What are you made of?" she would ask. Images would arise. A neighbor's bitter tone, a colleague's dismissive email, her own unspoken rebuttals. She would acknowledge each one, whisper, "Thank you for showing me," and imagine placing that ingredient onto the black stone. Then, she would visualize taking this now recognized stone to the edge of an inner river, the river of letting go that flows through the night. She would simply set it on the bank, not throwing it in, just letting it be bathed by the sound and mist of the flowing water. Some nights she'd fall asleep picturing the stone there, being weathered by the gentle, persistent atmosphere of release. Over time, the stone seemed smaller, smoother, less black. The somatic fist in her stomach unclenched. She had practiced the Buddhist principle of satipatthana, establishing mindfulness, on the very sensation of anxiety, and in doing so, had disidentified from it and allowed its natural dissolution. This is your nightly alchemy. You are not a victim of your emotions. You are the compassionate witness and the skilled alchemist. The bed is your laboratory. Let's create a specific practice for this, which I call the evening unweaving. Once you are in bed and have done your foundational breaths, bring to mind the strongest emotional residue from your day. Don't get lost in the story. Just feel the physical signature of it in your body. A heat in the face for anger. A hollow ache for sadness. A buzzing tension for anxiety. Locate it. Step 1. Name and greet. Silently say, "Ah, here is anger." Or, "This is worry." Just naming it begins to separate you from it. Step 2. Inquire with curiosity. Ask it gently, if you had a shape, what would it be? Don't force an answer. Let an image arise. A knotted rope. A spiky ball. A heavy cloak. Step 3. Offer gratitude for its service. This is key. Say, "Thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you for your energy." Even anger's fire is trying to defend a boundary. Fear is trying to keep you safe. Acknowledging this disarms the conflict. Step 4. Perform the unweaving. Now, visualize gently unmaking the shape. If it's a knotted rope, imagine your breath as gentle fingers patiently untying each knot. If it's a spiky ball, imagine the spikes softening like wax in warm sunlight, smoothing into a sphere. If it's a cloak, imagine unclasping it and letting it slide from your shoulders onto the bed beside you. You are not destroying the energy. You are changing its form from something bound and painful to something smooth and neutral. Step 5. Consign to the night. Imagine this now neutralized shape being gently absorbed by the darkness of the room, like a drop of ink dissolving in a vast, forgiving ocean. The night itself will recycle this raw material. This practice might take 5 minutes. Some nights you may work with one emotion, other nights with several. The process itself, done with gentle attention, is profoundly somatically calming. It tells your limbic system, the threat is being processed. You can stand down. Now, for another story of alchemy. There was a musician named Jonah, who lived with a deep-seated shame over a past failure that was known in his small community. This shame felt like a permanent stain. At night, his mind would stage a ruthless courtroom, replaying the event. Sleep was his guilty sentence. In a moment of desperation, he turned the process upside down. He designated an old, unsightly mug as his shame vessel. Each night before bed, he would hold the mug and, speaking aloud, pour into it all the words of that day's self-condemnation. He would then place the mug on his windowsill, open to the night air. He said, "I give this to the night to hold. It's too heavy for me." This physical ritual created a powerful psychological container. The shame was no longer loose in his psyche. It was in the mug. And the vast night, the cool air, the moonlight, the distant stars, became the holding space. Slowly, the nightly courtroom sessions lost their power. The mug just sat there, a neutral object. One morning, he found a spider had spun a delicate, beautiful web inside it. He wept. The night had not erased his past, but it had, in his own perception, woven something of beauty over the vessel that held it. His relationship to the memory was forever changed. He had intuitively practiced a form of Tonglen, the Tibetan practice of taking and sending, where he took his own suffering and sent it out into the spaciousness of universal awareness for transformation. This is the promise. The night is not just for physical repair. It is the great psychic compost bin. All the discarded, rotting matter of the day, the humiliations, the angers, the fears, can, when placed in the dark earth of mindful awareness, break down and become the richest soil for tomorrow's growth. Your willingness to engage in this alchemy is what turns sleep from a passive collapse into an active pilgrimage toward wholeness. We now approach a tender and profound frontier, working with physical pain and illness through the medium of the night. For many, the body's discomfort becomes most pronounced in the quiet dark, transforming the bed from a haven into a rack of awareness. The Buddha's own journey began with an encounter with sickness, aging, and death. He did not teach transcendence of the body by denying its pain, but freedom through understanding its nature and changing our relationship to sensation. To bring a hurting body to sleep is not a betrayal of the healing ritual, it is its most sacred and potent application. Consider pain not as a solid wall, but as a signal, a desperate, often distorted, telegram from a part of your being crying out for attention. In the day, we drown out this signal with activity, distraction, or resistance. At night, in stillness, the signal amplifies. Our instinct is to tense against it, to create a fortress of muscles around the pain, which only increases suffering. The Buddhist teaching of Vedana, feeling tone, instructs us to break the raw sensation apart from our emotional reaction to it. The burning in a joint is one experience. The story of, "This is unbearable, this will ruin my life, I can't stand it," is a second, added layer. The night gives us the quiet to practice disentangling these two strands. Imagine the painful area as a small, frightened child sitting alone in a dark room. Your habitual mind is a frustrated adult standing in the doorway, shouting, "Stop crying. Be quiet so I can sleep." This only terrifies the child more. The healing approach is to become a different adult. You walk in slowly. You sit on the floor beside the child. You don't demand the crying stop. You simply place a hand on your own body where the pain is, and with your inner voice, you say, "I am here with you. It's okay. You can be here." You offer presence, not resistance. This act of internal companionship can fundamentally alter the pain experience. The sensation may not vanish, but the terrifying loneliness of it often does. And in the relaxation that follows this ceasefire, the body's natural pain-modulating systems, endorphins, the relaxation response, can actually begin their work. Let me share a story about a man named Henry, a woodworker with chronic arthritis in his hands. The pain was sharp and constant, but nights were torture. He would lie rigid, his hands held stiffly away from his body as if they were alien, hostile objects. His sleep was shattered. In a moment of exhaustion, he tried something absurd. He began to talk to his hands. Not with pleading, but with the tone he used for his scared grandson. He'd cradle them and whisper, "You've worked so hard. You've held so much. You're allowed to ache. I'm listening." He then imagined his breath, not as air, but as a warm, golden sap. Like the resin from the pine he often worked with, flowing down his arms and into each knuckle and joint, coating the raw edges with a soothing, flexible balm. He didn't believe it would fix the arthritis. He did it as an act of kindness. The first change was not in the pain, but in the terrifying relationship to the pain. The rigid dread softened. He began to fall asleep while still visualizing the slow, sap-like breath. Over time, he noticed the pain's sharp edges seemed blunter. His sleep became more continuous. He had discovered that the pain needed witness more than it needed war. He had applied karuna, compassion, directly to his own suffering. This is a practical framework for sleeping with physical discomfort. The practice of soothing presence. 1. Locate and breathe into. Place your hand gently on or near the area of discomfort. With your next few breaths, imagine the inhale specifically traveling to that spot. Don't force it to change. Imagine the breath simply creating space around the sensation, like a soft cushion. 2. Dialogue with sensation. Silently ask the sensation, "What do you need me to know?" Or, if you had a color, what would it be? Let answers arise without judgment. A sharp pain might be bright red. A dull ache might be heavy gray. 3. Offer the counterbalm. Now, imagine a healing element opposite in quality. For bright red, sharp pain, imagine a cool, deep blue mist soothing it. For heavy gray ache, imagine a warm, golden light gently lifting it. Your breath is the delivery system. 4. Surrender to the larger intelligence. Finally, whisper, "I am not abandoning you. I am entrusting you to the healing intelligence of the night." Then, consciously relax the muscles surrounding the area, as if you are handing over a precious, fragile object to a supremely capable nurse. This practice does not promise a cure. It promises a shift from victimhood to sacred partnership. The night becomes a shared vigil with your own body, rather than a solitary battle against it. Now, let's introduce a new, potent metaphor for the body's healing intelligence, the inner weaver. Picture your body not as a structure, but as an endless, living tapestry being woven on a loom that spans the cosmos. The day is when the weaver uses bright, bold threads of action, interaction, and sensory input. The patterns can sometimes become tangled, or a harsh thread might be pulled too tight. The night is when the inner weaver turns the loom over. In the quiet dark, with infinite patience, she works on the underside. She repairs snags, reweaves broken threads, loosens over-tightened sections, and integrates all the colors and textures of the day into the larger, beautiful pattern of your whole being. Your conscious mind is the daytime apprentice, handing the weaver the threads. Your pain or illness is a signal of a particularly complex snarl or a thread pulled to its limit. Your pre-sleep ritual of awareness and compassion is you, the apprentice, gently pointing out the troubled area to the master weaver before you retire, saying, "This needs your special attention tonight." Then, you trust her skillful hands in the dark. This metaphor honors the intelligence of the symptom. The pain is not the enemy of the weaver, it is her messenger, highlighting where her artistry is most needed. I recall the story of a gardener named Maeve who developed a persistent, debilitating migraine condition. The pain felt like a white-hot spike behind her left eye. Medications provided little relief, and the anticipation of the pain bred a terror of sleep itself. During a lucid moment between attacks, she had an insight from her gardening: the most delicate seedlings needed darkness to germinate. Their transformation happened unseen. She decided to treat the pain not as an attacker, but as a violently germinating seed. On the next night a migraine began. She lay in the dark and, instead of fighting, she directed a horrifically difficult whisper: "Okay. Germinate. Do what you must. I will be the dark soil." She imagined the white-hot spike not as a weapon, but as a blindingly intense root, pushing down from her eye, through her neck, and into the rich, cool, forgiving soil of her torso and the earth below her bed. The act of mentally providing a destination for the intense energy, the soil, changed everything. It gave the sensation a path other than circular, trapped agony. The pain did not disappear, but her panic did. She fell into a state of exhausted, almost trance-like surrender. When she woke, the migraine had receded more quickly than usual. She had, in her darkest hour, practiced a profound form of adhitthana, resolution or determination, to stay present with a revolutionary perspective. She had allowed the night to be the dark soil for her most painful seeding. This is the essence: you are not helpless before physical suffering. You have the power to change the context in which it occurs. The context of battle creates suffering upon suffering. The context of sacred, trusting observation, of offering the pain to the larger healing night, allows the body's own intelligence to work under conditions of ceasefire. It may not always erase the signal, but it always reduces the static of mental anguish around it, and in that clearer space, true physiological healing has a better chance to proceed. We now turn to the most subtle, yet most powerful, arena of nightly healing, the cultivation of the heart. The Buddha taught that the mind is the forerunner of all states, and the heart is its garden. What you plant and water in the heart before sleep determines the quality of the entire night's harvest. While we've addressed the release of difficult emotions, there is an even more transformative practice: actively planting and nurturing specific, healing qualities in the fertile soil of the pre-sleep consciousness. Two of the most potent seeds you can plant are forgiveness and joy. Forgiveness, in the Buddhist sense, is not about condoning harmful actions or forgetting injustice. It is, fundamentally, the act of releasing the inner poison you carry about a past event. It is setting down a hot coal you've been holding, not because the coal has cooled, but because your hand is burning. When you lie down to sleep clutching grievances, towards others or, most commonly, towards yourself, you are asking your body to metabolize venom. The immune system, which should be free to patrol for genuine threats, is instead flooded with the inflammatory chemistry of resentment. To offer forgiveness before sleep is to give your inner world a deep, cleansing rain. Imagine your heart as a pristine, still pond. Each unforgiven hurt is a stone thrown into that pond. The ripples, the tension, the rumination, the somatic tightness, continue to spread outward, disturbing the entire surface long after the stone has sunk. Sleep is when the pond needs to become utterly still and clear so the moon of healing intelligence can reflect perfectly upon it. Your forgiveness practice is the gentle process of calming those ripples. You are not removing the stones from the bottom, the memories remain, but you are ceasing to throw new ones in, and you are patiently allowing the agitated water to settle. Here is a simple forgiveness ritual for sleep. 1. The self first. Lie down and place your hands over your heart. Silently speak your own name. Say, "For the ways I have been harsh with myself today, for the judgments and the pushing, I offer forgiveness. I release this burden. I am learning." Feel the words as a warm balm. 2. The specific release. Bring to mind one person, perhaps someone from your day, perhaps from your past, towards whom you feel a ripple of resentment. Do not dive into the story. Simply hold their image lightly. Then, offer the phrase, "For whatever pain passed between us, knowingly or unknowingly, I release the weight of it from my heart tonight. May we both find peace." You are not absolving them, you are freeing yourself from the energetic entanglement. 3. The general amnesty. Finally, widen the circle. Whisper, "For all beings, including myself, caught in the web of hurt and misunderstanding, I wish for release. May the night bring clarity and a light heart." Then, imagine all the ripples on your inner pond slowly smoothing out into a vast, glassy calm. This practice takes 3 minutes. It is not a weak surrender, it is a powerful declaration of sovereignty over your own inner peace. Now, let me share a story about a teacher named Felix. He harbored a quiet, old resentment toward a former friend who had betrayed a confidence years prior. He never spoke of it, but it lived as a cold, hard knot below his sternum. His sleep was perpetually light, as if on guard. After learning of this practice, he skeptically tried it. The first night, saying the words felt false, even bitter. But he persisted, focusing first on forgiving himself for carrying the bitterness for so long. Around the 5th night, as he offered the phrase for the old friend, he had a sudden, vivid memory not of the betrayal, but of a time they had laughed together until they cried. The memory carried no charge, just a flicker of warmth. The cold knot in his chest loosened, just a fraction. That night, he slept more deeply than he had in years. He hadn't reconciled with the person, he had reconciled with the memory, allowing it to be complex and complete, not just a monument to hurt. He had practiced Khanti, patience and forbearance, with his own past, and the night rewarded him with rest. Alongside forgiveness, cultivate joy, not frantic happiness, but sukha, the serene, buoyant joy of well-being. A smile before sleep is not a lie, it is an instruction to the vagus nerve. It is a physiological command that says, safety. Peace. All is well. This triggers a cascade of relaxation responses. The Buddha spoke of the Brahmaviharas, the sublime abodes, which include mudita, appreciative joy. This is the joy found in the success and happiness of others, and in the simple, sheer joy of being alive. A joy-seeding practice. As you settle into the pillow, before closing your eyes, scan your day for one tiny victory, one moment of unexpected beauty, or one instance of kindness you witnessed or received. It could be as small as the perfect steep of your tea, the wag of a dog's tail, a stranger who held a door. Relive that moment for just 15 seconds. Let the sensory memory fill you, the color, the sound, the feeling. Then, place your hand on your heart and mentally whisper, for this moment of joy, I am grateful. I let it nourish me tonight. You are not manufacturing fake euphoria, you are focusing the mind spotlight on a genuine spark of sukha that already existed, watering it so it can grow in the dark. These two practices, forgiveness and joy, are like installing a new filtration system for your heart. Throughout the day, murky, turbulent waters flow in. At night, instead of letting that murky water stagnate in your system, you pass it through these filters. The forgiveness filter removes the heavy sediments of resentment. The joy filter infuses the cleared water with life-giving minerals of appreciation. What then circulates through you in the night is clearer, lighter, and more conducive to healing. Consider this new metaphor: your being is an ancient, sophisticated bell. Forgiveness is the careful removal of old dirt and corrosion that has clung to the inside, muddling its tone. Joy is the skilled strike of the clapper. Not a harsh bang, but a true, resonant tap. When you practice both before sleep, you are preparing the bell to be struck by the silence of the night itself. The resulting sound is not heard with ears, but felt in every cell. It is the pure, vibrational note of wholeness, which sings through your nervous system, aligning and tuning every part of you as you rest. This is not secondary to physical healing, it is primary. A heart at war with itself or the world cannot signal, "all clear," to the repair crews. A heart touched by forgiveness and lit by a spark of joy broadcasts the perfect frequency for regeneration. You are, in essence, composing the lullaby that will sing your entire organism into its most restorative state. Let's continue. We come now to the concept of sanctuary. Healing is not an abstract process. It requires a container, a held space where the fragile work of restoration can proceed without intrusion. In Buddhism, the importance of a supportive environment, sappaya, is deeply understood. For the mind to settle, the senses must be soothed. For the body to truly surrender, it must feel enveloped in safety. Thus, we must consciously transform not only our inner landscape before sleep, but the very atmosphere in which we sleep. We create, in essence, a portable monastery for the night. This begins with the outer sanctuary, your bedroom. The Buddha himself retreated to the forest, to groves and quiet places, for deep meditation. We can replicate this intention. Look at your sleep space not as a utilitarian area for unconsciousness, but as a healing chamber, a nighttime vihara, dwelling. The goal is to make it a sensory expression of peace. This isn't about expensive furnishings, but about intentionality. Start with light. In the hour before bed, begin to dim the artificial suns in your home. Use lamps instead of overhead lights. If possible, use candlelight for even 10 minutes. Its flickering, ancient warmth directly signals the primal brain that the day is ending. Banish the harsh, blue-frequency lights of screens. They are shouts to the nervous system that it is still high noon. Let the darkness be welcomed, not just as an absence, but as a presence, the velvet cloak of healing. Next, consider sound. The night is not meant to be filled with our daytime noise. If your environment is loud, consider a source of gentle, consistent sound that masks jarring disruptions, a fan, a simple white noise generator, or a recording of steady rain or distant ocean waves. This creates an auditory blanket, a buffer zone that tells the vigilant mind, the unexpected has been softened. You can stand down. Then, touch and texture. The fabrics that touch your skin should be comforting. Rough, irritating sheets can be a constant, low-level distraction to the sensing body. Smooth, clean linens are a tactile whisper of care. The weight of your blanket, neither too heavy nor too light, should feel like a gentle, reassuring embrace. Finally, air and scent. A stuffy room can feel oppressive. If you can, allow fresh night air to circulate before you sleep. The coolness is inherently calming. You might introduce a single, subtle scent associated with rest. A drop of lavender oil on a cloth, the faint aroma of sandalwood. The olfactory bulb is wired directly to the limbic system, the seat of memory and emotion. A calming scent can become a powerful anchor, a direct line to the state of peace. But the outer sanctuary is only half the work. It must be mirrored by an inner sanctuary. This is the mental and emotional space you cultivate through your ritual. The outer dimming of lights must correspond to an inner dimming of mental brightness. The outer softening of sound must pair with an inner softening of your internal dialogue. The outer comfort of your bed must be matched by an inner attitude of welcoming ease toward your own body. Imagine building a psychic dome of protection around your bed as you begin your ritual. With each calming breath, see this dome forming, not as a hard shield of resistance, but as a soft, permeable filter made of gossamer and starlight. It filters out the chaotic, scattered energies of the day world and allows only the nourishing, quiet frequencies of the night to enter, the frequency of stillness, the frequency of trust, the frequency of lunar reflection. Inside this dome, you are the guardian and the guarded. You are both the practitioner and the sacred space itself. A story comes to mind of a woman named Lynn, who lived in a small, noisy apartment in a bustling city. Sirens, traffic, and the sounds of neighbors felt like constant invasions. She felt she had no control over her environment, and thus no hope for deep sleep. Inspired by this idea of a portable sanctuary, she began a practice. Each night, after tidying her small room, she would stand in the center and slowly turn in a circle. With each turn, she would silently declare an intention: this space is for rest. This air is for peace. This silence is for healing. She was, in effect, consecrating the space with her own mindful attention. Then, she would lie down and imagine the walls of her room becoming translucent, then transparent, then dissolving entirely. In their place, she visualized her bed resting in a vast, silent, high mountain meadow under a canopy of infinite stars. The city sounds, when they came, were reinterpreted in her mind as the distant rumble of a waterfall or the wind in far-off pines. She wasn't denying reality. She was skillfully overlaying a more nourishing perceptual reality upon it. The inner sanctuary of the meadow became more real to her nervous system than the outer apartment. Her sleep transformed. She had mastered the Buddhist art of sankhara, mental formation, using her intention to shape her very experience of the environment. This is your power. You may not control the world outside your window, but you have absolute sovereignty over the world you build within the cathedral of your attention. Your nightly ritual is the architecture of that inner world. The breath lays the foundation. Forgiveness and joy raise the walls and paint them with warmth. Gratitude opens the skylight to the stars. And surrender places you at the peaceful center of it all. When outer and inner sanctuary align, magic happens. The division between you and your environment softens. You don't go to sleep in a room, you rest as part of a unified field of restoration. The air, the darkness, the silence, and your own body become one living organism dedicated to the single purpose of renewal. In this unified field, healing is not something you do or get. It is what you naturally are, when all the conditions for peace are lovingly assembled. Let us now bring the circle to its close. We have journeyed together through the terraces of stillness, the silent loom of the inner weaver, the alchemy of the heart, and the creation of sacred sanctuary. These are not separate teachings, but interwoven threads in the single tapestry of healing sleep. The core wisdom, echoed from the Buddha's insights over 2 millennia, is this: the night is an active, intelligent partner in your wholeness. You are not a passive recipient of rest, but the conscious architect of the conditions that allow profound restoration to unfold. Remember the metaphors we've built: the terrace holding the nourishing rain, the diving bell descending into the silent depths, the inner weaver repairing the underside of the tapestry, the bell being cleansed and struck to a pure note, the psychic dome of the starry meadow. These are not mere poetry. They are practical, psychological tools. They are new lenses through which to view the familiar act of closing your eyes, transforming it from an end into a sacred beginning. Your practice need not be complex. It is the consistency of gentle, loving attention that weaves the magic. Tonight, and every night, you have a simple, profound choice. You can fall into sleep as a collapse, carrying with you the rubble of the day. Or, you can descend into sleep as a conscious, gracious entry into your own inner healing temple. The ritual is your map for this gracious descent. It can be distilled into 5 sacred movements. 1. Sanctify, prepare your outer and inner space. Dim the lights. Tidy your bed. Declare this time and place sacred. 2. Gratify, place a hand on your heart. Find 3 small seeds of gratitude from your day and feel their warmth. 3. Release, with 11 conscious breaths, inhale silvery peace, exhale gray residue. Perform the evening unweaving on any sticky emotion. 4. Bless. Offer forgiveness to yourself and others. Plant 1 seed of simple, serene joy. 5. Surrender, whisper your intention: I entrust myself to the night. Visualize your chosen metaphor: the forest receiving rain, the loom being tended, the bell ringing clear. Then, let go. Fall into the trust you have built. In the morning, honor the rebirth. Pause before you rise. Feel the newness. Drink water mindfully. Carry the night's peace with you as a quiet light within. This is the path of healing sleep, illuminated by Buddhist wisdom yet belonging entirely to you. It is a path that says your body is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be honored. The night is not an emptiness to be feared, but a fullness to be entered. You now hold this understanding. The final step is to live it. To make the choice, tonight, to partner with the darkness. To say to your own being, I am here. I am listening. I trust you. Do your gentle, mighty work. Thank you for walking this path with Monk's Temple. May your nights be deep wells of restoration, and your days be bright with the vitality that flows from them. Go in peace, and sleep in healing. End of script.